Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the Real Talk with Rick podcast, a podcast relating to people associated with Eden Prairie. I have a very special guest this episode. I am very excited to have brought in a local celebrity, a local Eden Prairie celebrity. Nabir Sarma is an Eden Prairie resident, born, raised in Eden Prairie, goes to the University of Minnesota, gets on the College Jeopardy show, and wins. He's our national College Champion Jeopardy winner from Eden Prairie in the University of Minnesota. So Nabir came in, and we talked about that entire journey, what it was like to prepare, what it was like to audition and get on the show and be on the show and win the show, and how that went. And then we wrapped up with a little version of our own Eden Prairie Jeopardy that I have to say he performed very well. I thought he did a great job. So feel free to listen to my conversation with Nabir Sarma. We are here with Nabir Sarma, our local Eden Prairie celebrity, 2020 College Jeopardy champion. Nabir, thanks for coming in.
It's my pleasure.
Nice. You're here in your hometown.
Yes.
Eden Prairie kid.
Yeah, I grew up here, went to elementary, middle school, high school here, and it's a place that I've called home for my entire life.
Awesome. Where'd you go to elementary school?
Cedar Ridge,
and then everybody goes to CMS and everybody goes to Eden Prairie High School. So what were some of your favorite places in Eden Prairie growing up?
Well, near my house, there's Crestwood Park right off of Dell, just south of Pioneer. So that's where my friends and I would hang out when we were young. And of course, like hanging out in everyone's backyards. And Miller Park was a place where I especially played soccer a lot. I was in the Eden Prairie Soccer Club for a couple of years, and playing soccer there is also, of course, a big part of my experience growing up here in Eden Prairie.
Yeah, good. And you know, obviously there's a lot of places you can go out to eat and hang out and go to the mall. So what were some of your favorite places to hang out at or eat at?
Definitely like Lion's Tap, right? That's the
absolutely.
one I also, like, most of my friends lived like sort of the southern portion of Eden Prairie, so it was just a easy place to get to. And then like Culver's or some of the other places around there, Chipotle by the bus station.
Yeah.
Because when I was in high school, I was using that bus station a lot to get back and forth between Minneapolis and Eden Prairie. So sometimes it would be, just stop at, like, when the Culver's was there, stop by Culver's or stop by Chipotle before heading over to Minneapolis.
Yeah, you've got, and you know what's interesting, you bring that up. So Southwest Transit, great bus system, takes you to the State Fair, sports games, downtown, the U. The bus will keep doing that. Light rail is coming there. Light rail transit will take you all the way into St. Paul, Minneapolis as well. But now you can go to Culver's moved over by Lund's, but now you can go to Rusty Taco, and I think Noodles has been there, Chipotle has been there. So yeah, there's a lot of options.
Yeah, I remember, like, I don't come back to Eden Prairie like that often now that I live in Minneapolis, but when I came back here maybe a month or two ago and saw everything going up for the light rail for this like years long project, it was like kind of like didn't feel real, because up until that point it had just felt like something like people are just talking about for a while. And what's the finishing, like the opening date on that is like something like 2023, right?
You
it's
are
still
right. You're
a
right.
long time away. But
you're a smart guy, because they've been talking about it since like the 80s before you were born. And I've been here 9 years, and before that I was in Hopkins where the light rail's coming through, and they were talking about it there for the last 20 years as well. So it is, I think everyone gets that feeling that they actually see the construction and think, well, I guess it's really going to happen now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. You said you don't come back a whole lot. Are your parents okay with that?
I come back some weekends, but especially during my first year of college, I'd come back like pretty regularly, like probably at least once a month. But this past year, I've just sort of like made my apartment in Dinkytown like my own place to live.
Fair enough. You don't have to. I completely understand, because my daughter, you're going to be a junior, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter's going to be a junior as well at Indiana.
Okay.
Actually, you went up against an Indiana guy.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that. But she goes to Indiana, and we joked about how some of her friends go to the U. They live in the area, and they're at home as often as she's at home in Indiana. Doesn't mean you might be 5-6 miles away, but you're not coming home all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah, laundry, right?
No, I do my laundry in my own apartment.
All right.
I feel like it would honestly be harder for me to take like big bags of laundry home with me in the car than to just like do it in my own apartment.
I think you're unique. I think you might
I would hope not, but
you'd be surprised. So yeah, let's get right into it. We'll come back to Eden Prairie later. We're gonna wrap up with some Eden Prairie stuff, but I want to get straight into the Jeopardy. And actually, maybe not straight in, because your road to the Jeopardy show kind of began in high school, didn't it? You were involved in the Eden Prairie quiz team, right?
Yeah, so even starting in middle school, when I was in 7th grade, that was the first year that CMS had a science bowl team. So William Prem, Mr. Prem at the middle school, he's a science teacher. He wanted to start this sort of team to compete in the regional science bowl competition, which is run through the Minnesota Academy of Sciences, I believe. And so my 7th grade year was the first year that our middle school had a team and sent a team there. And we ended up getting, I want to say, 3rd. And then when I was in 8th grade, our team got 1st. And then we got a free trip, all expenses paid, to Washington, D.C. to go to the national competition. And I think we got like top 16 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and that being, of course, pretty impressive for only our 2nd year of existence at the middle school here. So I guess just goes to show the level of academics here in Eden Prairie. But the high school had a different sort of club called Quiz Bowl, as opposed to just being like science questions. It's questions ranging the whole range of academics, mainly focusing on like literature, history, and science, but also other stuff like sports or like social science and stuff like that. And that's similar to what you see on Jeopardy. So that's how I sort of built up that knowledge base.
Sure.
And when I was in high school, since the high school Science Bowl Club didn't exist either, I made my own Science Bowl Club with like a couple of my like closest friends, and then we went to the high school version of that same competition that we had done before in the middle school. And when we would practice for Science Bowl in high school, me and my friends would hang out in my parents' basement. And since we were high schoolers and we didn't really have like a coach or anything, we were self-coached. We would often get off track and not really focus on just the science. So we would often pull up Jeopardy questions and play Jeopardy against each other. And that's when I really got into the show, through playing with my friends in my parents' basement.
Sure. And did you, even when you were in middle school, before high school, did you watch Jeopardy?
Not regularly, I wouldn't say. Yeah. Of course, I got more into it, like the format and stuff, the idea behind Jeopardy when I was in high school. Of course, nothing new. Like growing up in the United States, like education system, you play like Jeopardy review games in classrooms. It's an excellent like review teaching tool and game to play.
People are familiar with it, but you weren't watching it. Yeah, I mean, even back in the 80s, when I was in college, we'd sometimes be skipping class because we were watching Jeopardy. Just play Jeopardy in the living room with your college friends as you're watching it. And so you would practice. I mean, this is practicing with your friends in the basement. And obviously you did pretty well, because there's some point where you say, I'm going to actually try out for the show, the regular show. How did what's that path? Yeah,
exactly like you say. It's like it came to a point where I was winning against my friends pretty consistently. And I said, okay, let's try to get on the show. I actually wanted to get on the Jeopardy like teen tournament that they have. So that's for like 13 to 18 year olds when I was in 12th grade. But the way the process works is there or at least it used to be, they've changed it since then, is that there were specific times where online tests would occur and you'd have to log on to the Jeopardy website at that exact time and take an online test. But that online test was at the same time as a Eden Prairie High School wind ensemble concert, which I was playing in.
Okay.
And so, of course, I couldn't skip. I couldn't skip a concert to do Jeopardy, right? But I tried out for the college version of the show my freshman year of college when I was a first-year student at the U of M, and didn't really hear back from them at all. Didn't make it. So I tried again my sophomore year, and that led to the whole series of events where I was first invited to an in-person audition, and then got the call and got on the show.
Okay, let's walk through that because that's fascinating in terms of how you get on. You take an online test. How many questions?
So it's 50 questions, and each of the questions is phrased like a clue on the show. So they give you a category and the clue, and you just type in what the answer is. You don't have to make it in the form of a question because
okay.
I would imagine it makes it harder to process all the answers. But it's sort of like answering clues on the show.
50 though, just 50. I would have thought 500 because you've got a lot of people that might be testing.
Yeah.
So what do you did you get to see your score the minute you finish?
No, you don't know how many you get correct. Of course, there are some people who maybe write down all their answers as they submit them and compare answers online. There are certain online forums and stuff, people who do that, but I never did that.
Did you say that you did the first time you didn't make it, but the second time you did?
Yes.
And obviously the question, and you can kind of go in on your own time. It's not happening at a certain set time, or is it still a certain set time?
When I took it, when I took the test both times, it was this is the set time to take the test. But now they've changed it as of I think a couple months ago.
Was there worry that someone could game the system? You could take it and then quickly tell me the answers, and then I'd take it, so that's why it was live? Maybe.
I'm not sure.
Huh. So did you feel when you took it the second time you did better than the first time?
Well, in the moment I was feeling pretty good about my score, but also I felt pretty good about the test when I took it the first time. But maybe, there's a whole year in between there. You learn some new things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because it's interesting that obviously for people that watch the show, I mean, it's a wide array. It's pop culture, deep history, like you said, sports. So that you've got to have a pretty wide swath. So was there anything else you've done over the years to kind of build your knowledge in trivia besides practicing the game?
Yeah, the big thing is Quiz Bowl, which is just such a huge activity. Thousands of people, middle school, high schoolers, college players, and people who are in not even college play it across the entire country. And it's a similar thing where you do have to have such a broad knowledge base to be answering those questions, and it translates pretty well to Jeopardy.
Okay. What is the in-person audition like? Now that's with the button and you're go up against other people. How does the process work for when you got called in person?
So I had a couple of other friends from the University of Minnesota Quiz Bowl Club who had also been invited to audition in person. So the three of us took a road trip down to St. Louis where the audition was, and stayed in an Airbnb the night before the audition. And when we showed up, the first thing they had us do was take another 50-person test similar to the online one, but instead of it being on your own phone, it was just they had a projector screen set up and you'd write your answers down on a sheet of paper. I think that's the kind of thing where they want to make sure that you weren't cheating on the online one. And then the second part of that in-person audition is more of a screen test. So they would call three contestants up at a time to the front of the room. They had a camera set up and a Jeopardy board displayed on the projector screen, and you just sort of play the game a little bit. And I think the idea is that they want to see how you react while you're playing.
With a camera on.
Yeah. So I would imagine, I don't know this for sure, but I would imagine that they use some of that tape to make the decisions of who's going to go on the show based on how camera ready they are.
That's interesting. Well, I mean, there's so many reality shows where at the end it says many of the contestants were chosen based on talking to the producers. And you know that sometimes means if you're not camera ready or something strange is going on TV, they're not going to pick you. But this button thing, I'm always fascinated by that, because if you're asking questions and you're ready to answer and you're thinking about answering, you got to put your finger on the button. I would think that probably took some getting used to.
Yeah, that was the part that I was most worried about when I got to the show. Thankfully, in the in-person audition, they weren't really testing for exactly how fast you are to that.
Yeah.
But when I was getting to when I got to LA and got onto set, I thought that was something that I might be disadvantaged by, given the fact that I don't play like video games a whole lot. And like if you do play video games a lot, of course you're going to have like faster reaction speeds. Yeah. And just because that's something you do, like repeated, like pushing your thumbs, making that repeated motion. But of course, it didn't end up being too much of a hindrance for me in the end, but that was something that I was worried about.
So when you're playing against other people and you're on set, were you would press and you know that somebody beat you, but you had the answer? Or like what % of questions would you say that you didn't get to answer that you knew pretty quickly, but someone beat you to the buzzer?
I'd say like probably half the times that I tried to buzz in, I did get in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always wonder, because then you look at people and they might be like, I have no idea what the answer is. And they all might have been buzzing in, but someone beat them to it.
Yeah, I feel like that's the kind of thing that you can see from their like facial expressions on the show. Because like if someone's like disappointed they didn't get it, they probably were trying for it. Or like for me, I think sometimes I was just like shaking my head. I was like, no, I'm not getting this.
Yeah. Well, the facial expressions is when you get kind of the whole Daily Double thing.
Yeah.
And then you have no clue. And then just the look is like, I don't know. Or, but it happens. I mean, you're not going to know the answer to everything. You knew a lot of answers, though. Was there any other thing that helped you prepare?
I mean, I did practice buzzing in. Actually, at our in-person audition in St. Louis, they gave each of us auditionees like a little pen that was shaped like the signaling device used on the show. So after I knew I had gotten onto the show, I would carry that like pen around with me in my coat pocket and just click it up and down just to get that feel of the buzzer.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. It's like the hockey player will get to hockey carrying a stick around or putting the hockey stick under your pillow when you sleep at night.
Of course.
Just always practicing. When was the show recorded?
February. I don't remember the exact date. I want to say 3rd and 4th, but early February.
Yeah. So right now it's late June 2020. The show aired, was it in April?
Yeah.
Yeah, it aired in April, and you were recording in February.
Yes.
Oh, how long were you there?
We got there on a Saturday, or at least the contestants got there on a Saturday, and filming took place on Monday, Tuesday, and then we left on Wednesday.
Okay. How many people were in it altogether? How many went?
There are 15 contestants on the show, plus one more alternate who was also there with us.
Okay. So the alternates like be ready in the background in case somebody like gets ill or freaks out or doesn't show.
Yeah, I mean Andrew, who was the alternate for this year, he like hung out with the rest of us in the green room all day, and just part of the family. It's like the only difference is that didn't get to like actually film the episode, but there was a lot of time hanging around set where the like 16 of us would just be like talking.
Okay. So the preliminary rounds were it would just be groups of 3 going for a while, and then you got to the quarterfinals and then the semifinals. But you would record multiple episodes in a day, obviously.
Yeah, so they record 5 episodes in a day.
Okay.
So the first day of filming, they just did all 5. That's weird to say, 5 quarterfinals, but that's what they call it, right?
Yeah.
And so since I was on the Friday episode for the quarterfinals, Natalie and Tyler and I, our group, we had to wait the entire day in the green room, just in one room, because we weren't allowed out of the room in case we knew about the other results of the shows before us.
Oh.
So we just had to stay there like all morning for the first 3 shows. We had to have lunch in the green room and then also wait for the 4th show to be filmed before finally going out to the set ourselves.
So you got to know them pretty well.
Yeah.
Where did they go to school?
Natalie goes to Liberty, and Tyler goes to Indiana.
Indiana. I saw. There was one of the episodes I remember that you actually, it might be the only one where you didn't win or have the most points at the end.
So that was the quarterfinal that I was in, yeah.
Yeah.
Tyler definitely just
he ran away
dominated
with
that
it.
game. Yeah.
But that was, we're not going to focus on the one game. But strategy, what was your strategy?
Coming into the show, what I wanted to do is be in first place heading into Final Jeopardy every time, because there's a lot of like betting strategies on Final Jeopardy, like how much do you wager based on how much do you have and how much do both of your opponents have. And I didn't really want to get into all of that, because if you're in first place, you can guarantee a win with the right answer on Final Jeopardy.
That's true. Now, obviously, the final episode when you were champion, you didn't have to worry about that. But maybe a lot of people know about that, but do you want to explain the man?
So I didn't come up with that joke, actually. So full credit to Marshall Como, who is the contestant from UT Austin. And on the first day of filming, us contestants were hanging out, and Marshall said, hey, if any of us has an opportunity where we're just like winning by a lot, then we should like write down who da man, so that Alex has to read it out and then reply with you da man, Alex. So
that was awesome. That was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I was glad I got to be in that position where I didn't have to worry about like how much money to risk.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the daily doubles, you did have a strategy with that, though.
It was more so like, what is the risk versus reward for the daily doubles?
Yeah.
In the finals, there were 2 daily doubles that I went all in on. I guess technically 3, but 2 that I got right that I went all in on. And those were categories. The 2 categories were poetry for physicists, I believe it was called, on the first day, and world capitals on the second day. So those were 2 categories that I felt extremely comfortable with. On each of those,
who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Poetry and physics, absolutely. Yeah. Well, okay. Do you remember a lot of the questions?
Some. I do watch back the episodes.
So what was the physics poetry question and the world capital question? What was it?
So the poetry one was about, I don't remember the name of the poem, but the line from the poem was like, here, something along the lines of, here they come and go, talking of this 16th century Italian physicist. And the one that makes sense and immediately comes to mind is Galileo. It fits the rhyme scheme as well. And that was my thought process going through that. And Galileo is correct for that one.
Nice.
And then the world capitals one was Kookaburra, Kangarimi, and Eucalypta were proposed name for this capital city. So that makes you think of Australia, right? So kangaroos, eucalyptus, kookaburras.
Kinda. I don't know. Maybe if given 10 minutes, but you had to do that in 3 seconds.
Yeah. So, of course, the capital of Australia, if you have that in your mind, is just, I remember the capital of Australia is Canberra. So that was the answer to that one.
What's the one you didn't get? Because you said 2 out of 3, right?
There was one that I missed on the second day of finals, or maybe it was the first day. I don't remember, but it was asking for like some punitive measures that were enacted on like the American colonies by the British. I couldn't remember the word for it. They gave the term coercive acts in the question. I was like, what were the coercive acts also called? And the correct answer is the intolerable acts.
See, now I'm a political science major. I knew that one.
There you go.
I knew that. I know a little bit of history. Are there certain categories that you excel in? Like you're just like, these are awesome areas that I feel super comfortable in?
Definitely anything like science or engineering related, because I'm majoring in chemical engineering at the U of M. So that's like really my specialty. And I guess in terms of like other stuff, like maybe if there were a category sometime on Jeopardy, like my dream category would be something about like TikTok, because that's definitely the app that I use most often at the moment.
Okay. All right. Now TikTok is huge. TikTok is a big deal. So then when I asked about when it was recorded, you had to keep quiet, right? afterwards? Like you knew that you won, but you had to come back to Minnesota and keep quiet for about a month and a half, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. From February to April, I couldn't tell anybody the results of the show. Of course, my family, my parents and my little brother, they flew out to LA with me, so they, of course,
they were
knew
there.
The results. Yeah, they were there in the audience. But all of my roommates and friends, I had to keep clam about that.
Okay. Were you afraid your little brother was going to give it away to people?
A little bit. I'm not sure if he did tell people or not. I remember coming back to.
How old is he?
He's in high school. He's at Eden Prairie High School.
All right, so that's good. I'm not picturing like a 9-year-old that's like, Nabir won.
Yeah, but
shh, be quiet.
High schoolers. I mean,
I
they
do.
Like to talk.
I do. I get. That's why I asked you the question. I'm like, I don't know if your parents can keep it. You're not going to tell your classmates or friends, but the little brother, who. I don't know. Good for him. We don't know. We don't know if he did, but nothing got leaked out on TikTok or anywhere else.
Samir, if you're listening to this, nobody really approached me telling me they knew the results beforehand. So I think you did an okay job keeping the secret.
Way to go, Samir. So yeah, you had to. I mean, that's always an interesting thing. Like when you look at a lot of these shows, they tape and then you have to wait and see, what the result was. But when you talked about a lot of the people that you got to know really closely, like spending an entire day with them, have you kept in touch with some of these other people that you participated with out in LA?
Yeah, we've had several Zoom calls, both before and after the shows aired. And yeah, we're definitely friends. We're still connected on social media, like Snapchat, Instagram, stuff like that. And we'll have like game nights occasionally. Wow. And so it's just the kind of experience where, like, if you spend all day like filming the show with someone, you're bound to become friends and build that lifelong connection.
Yeah. Or did they have a similar background in being quiz bowl people or major trivia people in school clubs or whatnot? Is it a similar background, did you find?
Well, I remember when we were taking a bus from our hotel to the actual studio. I was like, okay, everyone in this bus, raise your hand if you've done Quiz Bowl before. And literally everyone did. So, yeah. But some of us, like me, I'm still involved with Quiz Bowl in college. Some people aren't, but everyone there had done it at some point in their lives.
Okay. In chemical engineering. So, what's your plan with that? What are you thinking? I know you got a couple more years of school, but what are your plans with chemical engineering?
Yeah, definitely a lot of places I could go with that. Currently, I'm working at a company over in Minnetonka in the clean water business. So, in the water industry is where I could potentially see myself. Or other than that, then maybe in like food or consumer products. Any of those kinds of companies.
You know the city's in the water business.
Yeah,
we're in the water business. We supply a lot of it.
Yeah,
to everybody's home. So. No, that's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of different areas of engineering. So I just kind of wanted to kind of check in and see what your plans are. How about being like a celebrity on campus in Eden Prairie? What's that been like? Are you people coming up to you and recognizing you now, or how is that going?
It's certainly different, of course. Like now versus if it had happened when school was like in person and stuff like that. Definitely a different thing.
That's true. What am I talking about? I for a second I forgot about COVID. Because school has been, since you got back, it's been all distance learning, hasn't it?
Yeah. So I'm sure it's like if we had in school in person, maybe I would have had a different experience. But most of the attention that I got when the show was airing was like online through social media. Gained a lot of followers on like Instagram and TikTok and Twitter. But in person, it hasn't been that. My life has not been that different.
Yeah. Well, what is the plan for the U in the fall? I've been reading a little bit of, that there might be some hybrid models, but what's your understanding of what's going to happen in the fall? Yeah.
So they're trying to, like, there's going to be some in-person instruction, but they're rescheduling like which class is in which room in order to allow for that social distance, like 6 feet apart and stuff. And some classes where they can't do that, they're just making online. So I'm taking an intro to sociology class this fall that I was actually really looking forward to. As a engineering major, taking something that's non-STEM is something that I look forward to, and that got moved to online, unfortunately. But yeah, they're working on some classes online and some classes might be in person.
Probably based on how many people. So if it's, a chemical engineering class or a STEM class that might have 20 people, they could make that work. But yeah, intro to psych, sociology, whatnot, the bigger classes they probably have to do online. Have you spent your $100,000 yet that you won?
Not all of it.
Okay.
I've been a little bit wise about that. But I have spent some of it on. I remember when I was auditioning for the show. In my in-person audition, one of the questions they asked every single contestant was if you won the $100,000, what would you spend it on?
Yeah.
And the answer I gave was I would want to buy a saxophone because I've always wanted to learn how to play the saxophone. Turns out after actually having won the money, instead of getting a saxophone, I got an electric guitar and an electric bass.
Okay.
So those are in my apartment now, and I've been playing those.
All right. So, but you're a clarinet player.
Yes, I play clarinet in the Gopher Hockey Pep Band.
Okay. And you're a big Gopher hockey fan, then you get to see all the games.
Absolutely, every single home game.
That's great. So, but saxophone. So you said you got the guitar, bass guitar. You didn't get the saxophone?
Correct.
Okay. You still then probably have like $95,000 that you can spend.
Yeah, most of that is going towards like investing and like saving.
Okay.
Like, wow, I don't need to spend a lot right now. Like I can spend a little bit, but I'm just living mostly the same lifestyle that I was before.
Okay. Like the flying high lifestyle, the
the
big man on campus.
The lifestyle where I live in an apartment with 4 roommates in Dinkytown. Got it. Oh, saxophone. You know what Kamasi Washington is? No.
Yeah, he's a jazz saxophone guy. I mean, just when I think of saxophone, I think of him.
Okay.
But that's, yeah. So we are at the point now where I want to talk a little bit more about Jeopardy, but specifically Eden Prairie Jeopardy.
Okay.
So Nabir, this totally precedes. This is back when you were maybe in high school. I actually, for a city event with the city council and the board and commission members, I created and hosted a Jeopardy game.
Okay.
And it was Eden Prairie Jeopardy. And I went and I dug out the game because I knew that you were coming. And I created here are my categories. I had Eden Prairie by numbers, Eden Prairie places, Eden Prairie history, Eden Prairie people, and then Eden Prairie in pictures. And the Eden Prairie in pictures one, which we can't do now. I'd show a picture.
Yeah.
And I'd say, what is this? And by the way, I think Eden Prairie pictures $200, Lions tap.
All right.
That was that clue. So, this is not meant to put you on the spot because there are students that we have on commissions, and the students participated in Jeopardy, and a lot of them looked at me like, I'm sorry, I don't know who the mayor was in 1950. I'm sorry, I don't know about that historic building. So, I don't want you to feel out of place, but I thought if you pick a couple of these categories, I'll give you maybe what I think is the easier question and then maybe a hard one.
Sure.
And you okay playing along with this?
Sure, let's try it.
Okay, so numbers, places, history, or people. What do you want to start with?
Let's start out with numbers.
Numbers. Okay, so this would be the $200 question I had. The answer is 63,496.
What is the population of Eden Prairie?
Nice. Good job. This is a little tougher. The answer is 630. And I don't think anybody got this, by the way.
Maybe like how many acres is Eden Prairie?
That's pretty good. Now, one of them was how many square miles? 36. How many cul-de-sacs are there in Eden Prairie?
Oh.
How many cul-de-sacs? All right. How you want to do people, places?
Let's do places.
Places. The 1995 movie Mallrats, starring Ben Affleck, was filmed here.
Well, I just have to guess, what is the Eden Prairie Mall?
Yes.
Okay.
Good job. Good job. All right. Tougher one on places. The answers that pop up are McCoy, Duck, Grass, and Neil.
Maybe like, what are lakes?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. He's good. All right. How about history?
Sure. Let's try it.
Okay. Let's give it a shot. Easier one. The Smith Douglas Morehouse is home to this business.
Well, currently it's Smith. What is Smith Coffee?
Good job.
Right?
Yeah. It's been Rustica. It's been Dunn Brothers, but you're exactly right. A tougher one for $1,000, Eden Prairie history. This famous Eden Prairie landmark caught on fire not once, but twice.
Oh, dang. I want to think of that barn that's over by like, what is it? Over by Riley.
The Riley barn. That would be terrible. But
yeah.
But that's not a bad guess.
Let's see. Yeah, I can't really think of
So
any
here's
others.
my clue. What would be the probably most unlikely thing to catch on fire?
Fire station?
That's a good one. That's good. The water tower.
Oh, okay.
The iconic water tower near the Eden Prairie Mall actually has caught on fire twice. All right, and then people. This Eden Prairie resident brought home a gold medal from the 2012 London Olympics.
Who is Rachel, what's her last name, Bootsma?
Yes. Yes. I think you'd be beating out our mayor and council members right now. You'd be doing a pretty good job. And then here's Final Jeopardy.
Okay.
Last one. Ready? Final Jeopardy.
Sure.
I was proud of this one. I spent some time thinking about this one. Okay. Zithlophiles gather at this Eden Prairie location to acquire the necessary ingredient for their craft. So you get a little more time.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, like what is a zithlophile?
Yeah.
and where would they go, and what is their craft?
Is that spelled with an X or a Z?
A Z.
Oh, gosh.
Zythoph. Well, you know files. Yeah. Like you're a triviophile.
I really have no idea. Maybe
Okay, I'll give you the answer.
I'll go with what are mushrooms?
Yeah. That's not bad. I mean, that's true. So the answer is the Frederick Miller Spring.
Okay.
So they get water for their craft, which is making beer, and people who make craft beer, their own beer, are zithlophiles.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we actually had somebody got that, Johnny. You were at that. This is about 3 years ago, right? You were at that. So that was Final Jeopardy. Final Jeopardy's not easy.
Yeah.
It's pretty tough. I thought you did really well because that was just Eden Prairie Jeopardy, and we had the Jeopardy champion give that a shot. So, Nabir, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up? Because I really appreciate you coming in here and kind of telling us about your journey through Jeopardy.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm super proud to call Eden Prairie my hometown, and of course, the city and the school system has shaped me into who I am today. So I'm excited to share my story and talk about my experience in the city.
Yeah, well, we're happy you're our resident, and we're very proud of you. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yep.